Yes. Now we get to the controversy.
Well, I've got three, but I'll try to make it quick. I'm sure all of you have kids, grandchildren. Some of the neighbors, I brought them for two different reasons anyways. But our main concern is there are sex offenders being put up in local hotels.
Give your name and address, Mrs. Doldo.
Yep,
Sure.
Anthony Doldo on Breen Avenue in the city. Some of our neighbors were all concerned. We have children. Don't know why these sex offenders are being put up in the hotels, but we do know that DSS is putting them up. I have written to Travel Lodge. They responded. They're going to leave it to their individual franchisee. I wrote Senator Wright and received a letter back from him. It's just not acceptable to put sex offenders where kids, I mean, who'd ever thought in their wildest dreams when you go on vacation that you would have to worry about a sex offender being in a hotel. You know, you send your kid down the hall for a bucket of ice, or you send them down to the pool, not knowing that there's a sex offender in a hotel. And it was quite a surprise to us, and it's happened quite a bit in the past couple years. So we want to know what we can do about it. We've contacted, like I said, Senator Wright. I don't know if there's any way the city can pass an ordinance not allowing, looking out for the best interest of our kids, sex offenders to be put up in hotels at taxpayer dollars.
The issue, and we've actually had some discussions on it over the last month since a couple of the neighbors brought it to my attention, and perhaps other members as well, and have tried to relay to the county, which would be the operative agency here, the concerns over the placement of persons with various records in a facility like this. It's in a residential area. Whether the business owner, the hotel owner, chooses to operate a mixed-use facility between just travelers coming off the road and folks like this, I think is an interesting issue. But as far as the and you know, I was told those concerns were relayed to the welfare commissioner or social service commissioner. Now, I would think that's where the pressure would have to go politically, and I don't mean that to punt the ball here, but the county runs social services, and they make the decisions where to house people, realizing they have a difficult job, and it's not an easy thing to find places for people in transition, and also realizing that not everyone who's placed in a hotel by social services is up to no good. But certainly,
well, I mean, there was one instance, to give you an example, someone that was placed there. One of the special instructions, stipulations, they were not allowed to reside where there were children under the age of 17, and DSS are the ones that put them there. So how much do they really look out for the welfare of our children? And why does the city, well, now that it's brought to your attention, why would the city allow our kids, your kids, grandkids, unknowing that there are sex offenders that have that status, be put in a hotel? I mean, that's a no-brainer for anybody.
Hotel, or they're in various residences around the city. There's a couple dozen
Correct.
that show up on.
But you go on vacation, and who would ever suspect that a sex offender would be in a hotel?
Oh,
you know what I'm saying? And then with special stipulations not to reside where there are children under the age of 17, and that's usually what you find at hotels.
I would think that is a valid issue, certainly, and now it will get some publicity. It's a valid issue to raise to county officials, to county legislators, as well as to the Department of Social Services. I'm not sure that in the rush and everything to get the job done and people moved around and warehoused and all that, I'm not sure these considerations always come into play. I think they're, in many cases, looking for a place to put people. That doesn't excuse what's going on. I'm just saying that's what probably happens. And I would say that that's probably the best venue. I don't know as passing laws. You know, one of the things that goes on in Albany is there's one particular assemblyman named Assemblyman Ortiz from Queens who will propose a law at the drop of a hat or something to get his name in the paper. And a lot of communities have tried to do that. I would think that the better way to approach that would be to try to lobby the county government to find other ways to place these people or other locations. Any other thoughts from council members?
Well, I don't know if we could pass a law, Mr. Sly, could we?
I don't know. I was just asking.
I haven't researched it, although I doubt it very much.
The part at the same time, Mr. Mayor, I don't know if it's an option that the council would consider, maybe drafting a letter to the county legislature with our concerns as far as putting sex offenders in hotels.
Yeah, the folks have brought this to our attention, and
So I would ask that a letter be drafted, sent to the Board of Legislatures with our concerns on it.
Certainly.
Anybody else wants to speak that's here for it?
Well, I just wanted to say, I'm Shanna Fay. I live on Cedar Street, right around the corner from the hotel. I have 2 children. There is an elementary school bus stop directly in front of that hotel that stops there every morning. There are over 20 children under the age of 16 within 1 square block of this hotel. And some of the individuals that are in the hotel, rape first degree, the victim is a female 7 years old. Sodomy first degree, male 12 years old. Female 6 years old. It goes on and on. They move in, they move out. They're constantly in and out of this hotel. And the word sex offender is thrown back and forth. But when you say the victim is a female, 7 years old, it's devastating to everyone
I had just
from our area.
a question, just because I'm uncertain, and I think maybe Mr. Doldo mentioned it, but what is the DSS regulation in regard to proximity from someone?
No.
17?
There is no DSS regulation.
Oh, there's not.
There was a
Okay.
stipulation with one of the gentlemen that was there that he couldn't be around within so many hundreds of feet of children under the age of 17.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the current resident, there is one resident at the Travel Lodge currently, based on today's search.
Right. And his conviction was rape, first degree. The victim was a female, 7 years old. And within the past 3 months, there have been dozens in and out.
Well, I certainly can understand your, concern and the residents the concerns that the residents have there, because it seems to me to be an irresponsible practice of putting them in a hotel. Like you said, Mr. Doldo, you have folks coming in visiting that have no knowledge of what's happening here. And, we're all for halfway houses and other, people getting a second chance at life. But hopefully not in a hotel. Yeah.
I mean, I do have a problem with residential, but in a hotel, people are unsuspecting, and it's that thing of sending your kid down for a soda at the ice cream. I mean, and it's right there, and you have no idea that maybe the
Right.
one next door to you is the sex offender, and it takes it that quick.
I'm not sure that all these people are placed by DSS.
No.
I think some of them come out of corrections, and when they're released from prison, they find transient housing, and they are then housed
Yeah, there are
in
other
motels.
issues there with other.
Yes, there are. It's not just Jefferson County DSS.
The city PD is there.
Well, it's like anyone's, with parole controls that, whether it's a sex offender or anyone else. If a person is being actually paroled, not maxing out, parole sets the stipulations, and if they're a registered sex offender, that's set by parole also. But parole has to, if a person is paroling, parole has to go to that residence, whether it's a hotel or a halfway house or a residence. They have to physically inspect that where that person is going to live before they are even released. So they have to be pre-approved by parole, and parole is the one that sets the conditions of their parole. So, and most times with a sex offender, it's normally they cannot live in a residence with a certain age limit.